Let's dive into the report on Hawaii.
Well, Hawaii businesses relying on tourism were hoping for a summer surge. But as our Kristen Concilio reports, many of them are still waiting.
It's supposed to be peak season for Hawaii tourism, but so far it's been a slow start to the summer.
Yeah, it's summertime. It's supposed to be booming, and we just got through June, and it is really the slowest I've seen it in a long time.
State numbers show a drop in visitors compared to a year ago for most days in June. And tourism experts say the state's not doing enough to turn things around.
We're not marketing out there. And Hawaii has one of the best brands in the world. We need to put that in front of people. We need to get that into the marketplace.
So just a few comments, Keith. No amount of marketing is going to convince people to come back. You could throw millions at ad campaigns. But unless they say Donald and his administration are gone, front and center, it's not moving the needle. And even if that happened, there are still 77 million MAGA voters waiting on the other side of the border. Now let's talk about Hawaii. It's not just the politics. The prices have gotten out of control. You can get the same sun, same beaches, and in many cases better hospitality for way less in the Caribbean, Southeast Asia, or parts of Europe. But here's where the commentator actually had a point. The state isn't doing enough. Hawaii has voted blue for years. It's considered a solid Democrat stronghold. But just like Maine and a handful of other blue states, they're not putting enough pressure where it matters, on Washington.
The state had a record 10 million visitors in 2019 before the pandemic crushed the industry. Then in 2023, the Maui wildfires stifled a rebound in tourism.
This was the first time coming into 25 that people thought, okay, it's going to get better, the summer will be good, Japan will rebound, and businesses will be back. But that's not the case.
Industry experts say it's time to strike while the iron's hot.
With what's going on in the Middle East, Americans are going to be afraid to travel to European big cities. They don't want to be identified as though there's an American in the city.
When he said Americans might start hiding their identity while traveling, it instantly reminded me of a photo one of our Blue Sky viewers sent in. Here's the photo. Now, this could be an entire video on its own, but I have to admit, it made me laugh a little. But back on topic, Japan's not bouncing back anytime soon. And neither is Canada. These aren't just random markets. They've consistently been Hawaii's top 2 international tourism sources. But after what the orange guy said, and everything he's stirred up, is not looking good. And it gets worse. You've probably heard about that Australian woman detained by ICE. She was just trying to visit her husband, an active duty US soldier. Then there's Alistair Kitchen, another Australian, detained the moment he landed in Los Angeles. Put all of that together, and you've got a tourism nightmare. Japan, Canada, even Australia. That bridge is burning fast, and no amount of glossy ads is going to fix it.
So people are going to look for safe destinations, and they're going to go west. What better time to ask them to come to Hawaii?
Before it's too late.
Over time, it will get better. But in the meantime, who suffers? The small mom and pop operations. A small person that has, maybe a dive shop or something like that, they can't survive.
Sure, you can try to rely on domestic tourism, but it's never going to replace the money that comes in from the outside. The scale just isn't there. And I do feel for the small businesses. Hawaii used to be a regular destination for me. In fact, my wife and I got married in Oahu just before COVID. So yeah, it hits a bit closer for me. But at the end of the day, Hawaii is still under the jurisdiction of the US president, and that comes with baggage. Here's what really stood out to me though. In this entire report, whether it was the journalist or the tourism execs, no one mentioned the actual reasons people aren't coming. Not a single word about the rhetoric coming out of the White House. Nothing about tighter border controls. Not even a whisper about tariffs or diplomatic tensions. It was just silent. Either they don't get it or they've completely checked out. And that silence? That's part of the problem. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's look at the next report from Hawaii.
Tourism is the big ticket item when it comes to economic growth for the state of Hawaii. And while experts say projections are down for 2025, the visitors we spoke with say the Aloha State is still the place to be.
What other place would I go to besides Hawaii. I want to see a sea turtle. I saw some last time, but want to see some more. Yeah, I love sea turtles.
Notice how they only interview American tourists in these stories? No Canadians, no Japanese visitors. Just carefully picked voices to make things look fine. It might fool US viewers, but the rest of the world knows exactly what's going on.
The Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism's new economic report says international travel is dragging down growth.
We had a good first quarter, leading by the U.S. visitors. But international visitors is going to decrease more, especially in the summer season.
DBET's report says visitor arrivals from Japan are down more than 5% from last year, from Canada down 6%. But flights from the continental U.S. are steady and airlines are adding more. Hawaiian Airlines in a statement said in the first 9 months of this year, Hawaiian and Alaska together will offer 1.45% more seats between Hawaii and the U.S. continent. The company will also offer 6% more wide-body seats during the summer months. Still, overall tourism is expected to dip slightly in 2025, with international seats down and statewide visitor arrivals projected to fall by 0.1%.
Something doesn't add up here. This report says everything's fine. Just a slow season, nothing to worry about. But if that's true, then why did the first report claim small shops are struggling without tourists? And here's the kicker. This everything's fine report actually came out a month before the one warning about economic pain, and that we're hurting the mom and pop shops. Honestly, it feels like they're padding the numbers a bit.
Because of the tariff is still ongoing, and there are other things ongoing, so there are many things impact the confidence of our residents, the U.S. residents, and also the international visitors.
And Dr. Tien said that there is some good news. They do predict the numbers to rise again in 2026 or 2027, and they are calling this a slowdown, not a recession. And as you can see, Waikiki is crowded on any given day. So maybe this summer it's just easier to get a parking spot, or maybe some shorter lines at the poke stand.
The reporter's confidence that everything will be fine honestly reminded me of this image. You can say whatever you want on air to your viewers, but Hawaii has two serious problems, and pretending otherwise doesn't help anyone. First, international tourists aren't coming back, and this isn't a short-term dip. For many, it'll be years, if they ever come back at all. Second, even domestic tourists are getting nervous. Maybe that's because ICE is detaining its own citizens at the border. You cannot be this disconnected from what's actually happening in your country. I expected more from Hawaii. Maybe that's because I've always had a personal connection to the state. I've lost count of how many times I've visited Oahu and Maui. It felt like a second home. It meant so much to us that my wife and I chose it as the place to get married. But just like what I reported in Maine, it's starting to look like Hawaii, despite being a blue state, is just about the money. Maybe I need to lower my expectations. Maybe no state in the US really values our friendship anymore. Maybe it's just business. If this video resonated with you, hit the like and subscribe button. It helps get this message out to more people. And if you're still here, check out the other videos showing up on your screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.